And we're back with Philip Klein of Klein Investigations, one of the premier investigative journalists here in Jefferson County with the Southeast Texas Political Review, which has been terribly critical of the Democratic Party of Jefferson County and at least maybe the top three in the leadership. What is going on, sir? Why are you beating up on Joseph Trahan, who seems like such a nice guy, and beating up on Mary Bond, who seems like such a nice young woman? What's going on with this?
Well, I mean, it's twofold, actually. You know, first of all, on the personal level, I don't know either of these guys.
Right.
And,
So you're saying nothing personal?
Yeah, it's nothing personal. I mean, in one of the, a Bond went to high school with my daughter, and, you know, I've never met her. I don't know her. And if I did meet her, I don't remember it. But anyway, so it's twofold. On the personal level, there's nothing. I don't even know Trahan. But on the professional level, you know, if you're really into politics, and as you know, I've been a lobbyist and I've been a political strategist, and I still am today. And then also we do a lot of political work around the United States for many candidates, senators, congressmen, etc. One of the things I believe in is the two-party system. And the two-party system today is Republican and Democrats. I would really like to see a three-party system because I think it would really kind of shake things up a little bit, but that's for another day. So when you see the Jefferson County Democratic Party, that when I first came in 1980s, I first came to Southeast Texas, it was 90-10, 90% Democrats, 10% Republicans. In fact, the quick story I will tell you is that the first time I went to go vote a national election, I had to go hunt down a Republican primary post. I walked in and I said, "Hi, I'm here to vote." They said, "Okay, welcome to the Democrats." I was like, "Whoa, I'm not a Democrat, I'm a Republican." "Oh, well, you need to go to that shack over there on Major Drive." I walked in, there's one lady that's in the toilet, and I walk in and stand there for 10 minutes. She comes out, she goes, "Oh, sorry." And I was one of three people that voted in the Republican primary.
Wow, yeah. Not like that anymore.
Right. It's not like that anymore. It's 50-50. In fact, it's, you know, you've seen the numbers. It's 51 plus Republican in Southeast Texas. So when I look at that and I see the fall of the Democratic Party, that this was considered a stronghold. If you'll remember, we used to get presidential candidates through here. They still come through here every once in a while, but they do it real quietly. They come in and have a party out in the West End and a doctor or an attorney's house. They walk out of here with $1 million plus, but there's no, you know, they block off 3 streets around. You're not allowed in the area. They put up a zone. And the reason for that is because they know Jefferson County is now Republican and they don't want to really hurt the Democratic Party. But let me digress. I see Trahan. He's supposed to be the leader. Now, you look at guys like Burnson and the Broom and that situation. You look at his dad, and you look at some of the other political figures that have been chairman of the Jefferson County Republican Party. They're pretty good people. Well, all of a sudden, Trahan comes in, and he brings in a girl named Mary Bond. Mary Bond is promoted to office manager / third in line, meaning the chairman, the vice chairman, and then the executive director. She's the executive director. Apparently nobody did a background on this lady. And so it was leaked to us that, you know, there was a big controversy inside the party because there was stolen money from the party, about $2,500. So we started looking into it. Well, of course, the first thing we do is, you know, being an investigative group, we have databases for all around the United States, so we can get anything police can get. We can get anything we need. So I hired my sister company. They did a background, and we found out Mary Bond has been arrested for crimes of moral turpitude, being theft, forgery, and other issues, as well as drug issues, as well as all the way back to Utah on a forgery charge. So we're waiting on those documents.
An allegation or a conviction?
Oh, no, there's convictions. Yeah, it's convictions. Yeah. And she's been held by the Texas Department of Criminal Justice, Jefferson County. And our question was in the beginning was, how'd this happen? I mean, who's going to give the keys to the kingdom to a convicted felon?
Wait. You're telling me your investigation has turned up that the number three in the Jefferson County Democratic Party apparatus, the number three has been convicted on several criminal cases.
Criminal cases and crimes of moral turpitude. That's just the felonies. We get into the misdemeanors all day long. Apparently, she has a big problem with money and establishing herself in the community. Well, that's just the cake. The icing is we get a tip from law enforcement. Okay, so there's a street officer calls us and says, hey, you need to know we're working a case right now where this young lady is alleged to have jumped over a desk while at a local automobile dealership, being a rent-a-car place, and she stole 2 sets of keys, came back later that night, and was using the clicker to try to find the cars to steal the cars.
You say that's an active investigation?
That is an active investigation, and my understanding is there is a warrant for her arrest out.
In the allegation stage right now.
It's in the investigation stage, but I believe they have enough. So I put that
Joseph
out there.
Trahan, the chairman of the party, does Joseph Trahan not have a responsibility to remove someone like that?
Well, I'll put it in the terms of the Jefferson County GOP, which they said we would never got it to this point. That person would never have had that job because they do background checks. See, this is a thing that's coming out now with this millennials. The millennials don't understand that everything you do, everything you say, everything that's done is recorded. Okay? It's recorded in the courthouse. Your mugshot goes up with the state of Texas. I mean, when guys like me are hired by companies to do background checks, who is this person? Sometimes people sound too good to be true. I have a case with a major politician right now out here in the United States that is a shocker, that finds out that the person he's doing business with never graduated from divinity school, doesn't have a doctorate, didn't go to a certain college out on the West Coast. I mean, that's why these people are hiring us now, to save the embarrassment later, right? And so Trahan, for some reason, didn't do his due diligence. And that just says a little bit about who Trahan is. Why is Trahan doing the things he's doing? So we started digging into Trahan a little bit, and we start to find out, well, he doesn't have a job in the last 3 jobs he's been fired from. So it's just a hodgepodge of a mess for the leadership of the Democratic Party. Now, people say, well, Klein, you're a Republican, you're going after the Democrats. No, that's not true. What is true is, I know a lot of
That's not true. It sounds like that's true.
It sounds like it's true, but it's not. I have a lot of friends that are Democrats, very high-ranking Democrats.
If you found malfeasance on the Republican side, would you report it?
Equally, if not worse. Because my belief is you have to have a good, strong two-party system. I want the people to be able to, I'm getting older now. I'm not as radical as I once was. I'm getting older and understanding that the only way our democracy is going to work is for everybody to discuss the issues. And you've got to be able to do it truthfully. You've got to be able to do it forefront, and you've got to be able to do it in a way that the people understand.
Hey, let me ask you this. I'll shift gears a little bit with you, frankly, for this reason. These are extraordinary times. You're seeing a new Biden administration with more than 40 executive orders, dramatically, it seems, restructuring American society. Are Jefferson County Republicans demoralized? Are Republicans, conservatives, I'll say more broadly in the whole area, are they passive, lethargic? Have they resigned themselves to something of a surrender in this time?
That's a good question. That is an excellent question. And I think the answer is pretty simple. Everybody's thrown their hands up in the air and said, you know what? We all knew. Okay, give an example. My son-in-law works down at oil tanking, and that's the end of the Keystone Pipeline. And everybody's throwing their hands up in the air because Kamala Harris and Biden got up there and said, hey, we're not going to get rid of fracking. We're not going to get rid of the pipeline. That's what they said. What's the first thing he does on the first day? He signs off and kills the pipeline.
Yeah.
I mean that to me is just a flat out lie. And we all knew that the left was going to push him to do that. And that's a bone to the left to say, leave me alone. I'm going to.
No, he said he was a moderate. He said
Well,
he was.
he's not. He's not. He's being pushed by the left party, left part of the party. He's just got 4 years in there. What can happen in 4 years is a lot, but it can be, again, flipped. So I think demoralized is probably a good word for the Republican Party, but it also feeds them fresh meat where they can go in there and they can refire themselves back up. I would not be surprised to see the backlash being in a year and a half from now, to see Congress, especially on the House side, flip back Republican. I think the American people like checks and balances. And I think there's that midsection of Republican / Democrat / moderates that run between 10 to 20% of our electorate.
But it'll take an activist conservative party.
Absolutely, yeah. And I think that that's what's fixing to happen. We've seen it before with Clinton. We've seen it before with Obama. We've seen it, these guys get in there and say, oh, I'm really a moderate. I believe in oil. I believe in the oil industry. And then they flip it. I mean, you're never going to kill the oil industry. These guys are too strong, too big. I mean, somebody asked me the other day, what if they pulled out of Port Arthur? I said, well, just hang it up. Port Arthur's gone.
Yeah. Among the first acts by the Biden administration, an executive order rescinding this Mexico City policy. The general idea for our viewers, to do it quickly, is to explain it like this. U.S. funding goes to Planned Parenthood style organizations outside of the United States. Well, Hyde Amendment comes into play. The American people have said over and over and over in polls that they don't believe in taxpayer funding for abortions outside the United States. And yet it is among the first things the Biden administration does. Is that the kind of coalescing, is that the kind of catalyst that would cause conservatives to coalesce and get serious and get active, in your view?
I think so. I think you need to understand the dynamics. You know what I do, and I'm an investigator, and I'm part of Child Rescue Network, and we go down to Mexico quite often and get kidnapped children and bring them back. Children that have been, let's just say, used for sexual purposes down there. We go get them and bring them back. I can tell you who runs Mexico right now, and people laugh at me when I say it, but I'm down there. I deal with the cartels more than I deal with the government. The cartels run the place down there. You can see the killings, the 19 people that were killed by federal agent on our property and on the Mexican side of the border down towards Refugio this last week. So they're running the show. So the interesting part of it is that this seems to be perpetuated by the United States. Remember, the Mexican people are mostly Catholic, and they're very deeply religious Catholic. And so abortion to them is something they don't even want to deal with. For some reason, the United States feels like we need to dump a bunch of money into a foreign country to try to push the abortion agenda. And it's kind of like, we're not interested in that. Thank you. Have a good day. We're very Catholic down here.
Yeah.
To answer your question simply, I just think that the Mexican government, and that's one thing that the cartels and the government have in common. They don't want to talk about abortion. They're not interested in abortion. Cartels are cash croppers. Don't mess with my cash. Don't mess with my crop. I won't chop your head off. The government side is, hey, we're government people. We're going to protect the cartels. And as long as they do that, they become millionaires while in office. Sounds like the United States, doesn't it? But anyway, so, sounds like some in Congress, actually. So really what's happening, Kevin, is that we are trying to push an agenda on them that they don't want. And so I think that is a rally cry that you're starting to hear now. And I think it's only going to get increasingly louder.
And quickly, before we run out of time, this notion, speaking of violence, what are we to make of what's happening in the great city just to our west, 1 hour away in Houston? It sounded more like Chicago the other night than it did.
Last night, I've been in my office since 8:45 this morning talking to some of my clients over in River Oaks and down. They are petrified. Last night in Houston, Texas, there were 11 shootings 9 of which I believe are dead or are laying on their deathbeds right now.
Extraordinary.
The homicide division called every single homicide investigator they could up last night to scatter the city. What's happening? You know, this defund the police. How's that working for you?
That's what I was going to get to.
The inmates are running the asylum, is what I'm trying to say.
Do you believe that the general policy, is it too broad to say that the general policies that have been put forth in some of these democratically run cities around the country, are the policies to blame for some of this violence, or what is it? Maybe
criminals have been empowered. They've been empowered. I mean, I know there was a guy, I have very close friends that are police officers over in Houston. Mm-hmm. And we do a lot of bodyguard work over in Houston for the Mexican consulate. You know, I can go down the list, but we do a lot of work with them. And the feedback we're getting from the intelligence agents down at HPD is that the city is being run by a bunch of radicals in small little radical groups around the city. And this is empowering some of the radical people around the city of Houston, which the feedback to the street people is, well, you know, you do a shooting, you're going to go through and you're going to get a low bond and you're out. And they had COVID in. Oh God, COVID's everything. You put somebody in the jail up there for a homicide, they have a right to bond. That's true under our Constitution. They have a right to bond. Mm-hmm. But what's happening is they're getting out on a $30,000 bond, which is $3,000. They make that in one night and selling heroin. So, I mean, the inmates are running the asylum over there. And this is the same thing in Houston you're now seeing that you see in Chicago, New York. But here's the deal. It's just like the Trahan Bond story. The media is not running it. So it leaves it up to me and you, Kevin, to report it to the people and let the people know what's really going on. This whole Bond Trahan thing has been just nauseating to see the media look the other way. I mean, the Democratic chairman hires somebody that hires a convicted felon who allegedly pilfers the bank account of the Democratic Party, and crickets.
And it's extraordinary because there are so many, frankly, I like them very much personally. There's so many good Democratic, I don't agree with them politically, but they're good people that you would think would do more and may yet at this juncture now do more by way of weeding out the bad folks within.
I know you and your professionalism when you were over at 12, and you would never let this walk. You wouldn't have let that walk. I know some people over at 6 that are pulling their hair out, going, "Why the hell are we not covering this?" And the news directors and the directors are going, it's not really a big story. What? The Democratic Party gets pilfered by a convicted felon that was hired by the Democratic chairman? What? That's not a story.
Any party, if that happened and I was encouraged to hear you say what you said earlier. If it happened within the Republican Party, it would be our responsibility to report that. And yet,
there'd be helicopters circling the Republican Party chairman's house. I mean, it's a double standard, and I don't get it.
Maybe that's what we've seen with all the Blackhawks in the air these days. No. Yeah. That's a different game.
And what do you call me? You call me an equal opportunity basher. I take both sides on, and I get crap from the Republicans. I get crap from the Democrats, and I get crap from the moderates.
It's called transparency.
The bottom line is, this is a huge story.
Yeah.
And where's the media?
It's an
Where's the Bond Enterprise? Where's the Examiner? Where's 6 and 12 and 4? And
I've got to think within a short distance in time, people will begin reporting on this.
I would hope so.
And be far more vocal. But thank you, Philip Klein, for what you are doing with the Southeast Texas Political
Thank
Review.
You.
Thanks for jumping.
Mr. Mahomes. There. Texas Tech, baby.
Oh, it's a big day, isn't it?
Big day.
Okay, let's hear your prediction. Chiefs 37-21.
I don't know. I hate to count out Brady. I just do. I got to go with the home team, Mahomes. I just love that kid. He's just, he hadn't been in trouble yet. I'm sure they're throwing millions and millions of dollars at him. He's become bulletproof here pretty
Ah, he's going to be fine. He's got a good head on his
No,
shoulder.
he comes from a great family. He really does.
Philip Klein, great to talk with you as always, buddy. We'll talk to you soon.
Go Tech. Send your kids to Tech.
Take care.